So let me just tell you, there's been a lot of thought into how to structure the one-page plan, okay? And here's how the structure works. Your plan is like taking a trip on the plane. So first we begin at very high level. We're 40,000 feet up and we're talking about high level things like core values, brand promises, BHAG. These are vision elements and they're way up in the clouds. But then as we go, we move to column 2 and we descend down to 20,000 feet. Now we're coming closer to a landing. 20,000 feet are things like your 5-year goals, your opportunities, threats, and trends. It's still in the clouds, but it's getting closer to the ground. Well, finally, that one-page plan comes in for a landing and it goes right to the ground. And there we're talking about 1-year goals. What are we going to accomplish this year? We talk about quarterly accountabilities, i.e., what are you going to do when you leave the room? See, to have a good strategic plan, you have to have the vision dimension first. But you also have to know what are you going to do when you leave the room to make that vision happen, because vision without plans are just dreams that don't happen. Let me repeat that. Visions without plans are just dreams that don't happen. Here's a great quote for you. A good plan today is better than a perfect plan tomorrow. And that was said by General George S. Patton, the winningest general in World War II, and the one general that Adolf Hitler was most afraid of all the opponents he faced during that war. And he's right. What he's really saying here is that it's not about having a perfect plan. It's about having a plan, but executing on the plan. So we're really going to focus on execution of the plan now. I think of the design of this plan kind of like taking a journey on a plane. We begin at 40,000 feet, very high level. We're talking about core values, brand promises, BHAG, all very lofty concepts. Then we descend to 20,000 feet, 5-year goals, opportunities, threats, and trends, but it's still way up there in the blue. And then we bring it in for a landing. We're talking about 1-year goals, quarterly accountabilities, i.e. what are you doing tomorrow? So you can see it starts with the dream stage, way up in the sky, and it ends with, what do you have to do tomorrow when you show up in order for us to achieve those dreams? See, now everyone's singing from the same song sheet because the goals just cascade down from our purpose to our BHAG, to our 5-year goals, to our 1-year goals, to our quarterly accountabilities. We start lofty, we come down to very practical. The simplicity of the plan allows every employee to see where they're going. It allows every employee to see how they contribute to shared success. So the places that I work with who use the plan best actually have every person have a plan on their desk. So let's say you sit with your core team and you all write your accountabilities on the plan, and then you go back to accounting. Well, how are they contributing to that? And what they'll do is they'll say, we want you to fill out your accountabilities on the plan in order for you to help achieve our goals because we all have a part in it. And now let's do the same in sales. How does each salesperson contribute towards reaching these company goals? And let's do the same in operations, and let's do the same in marketing, and so on. So it just allows everyone to know where are we going and what's my line of sight to contributing to our team's win. So you need to know that I'm a big fan of putting things on a single page. Because if I've said this once, I've said it 100 times. This is such an important phrase. This is one worth writing down, okay? Simplicity equals focus. Complexity equals chaos. Let me say that again. Simplicity brings focus, complexity brings chaos. That's why your plan must fit on a single page. The truth is, making things simple is really hard. Complex is easy. There's a perverse impulse of humans to make things more complex than they need to be. I don't know why it is. Maybe we want to show we're smart. Maybe we want to show that we can add value in the business. But we have a system that works beautifully and it's simple, and we just can't leave it alone. We somehow have to make it more complicated. I was with a client recently, and they had a beautiful HR system that I helped them develop. It worked like a charm. Everything worked beautifully. And one of their staffers showed me all the ways that they had complicated it to take it to the next level. So now it wasn't on one page anymore, it was on 3 pages, and it became so complex that I knew immediately, no one will ever use this. It's too complicated. It needs to be simple. So just bear that in mind when you're doing the one-page plan. Simplicity brings focus, complexity brings chaos. We're going to get it all onto a single page. So let's talk about some ways that you can keep the plan alive in your organization so it doesn't end up dead, even if it's hanging on a wall or if it's sitting on a shelf or it's gone into a file folder somewhere. It needs to be alive for it to be any good. So let me give you some strategies that I've found to help you get there. Here's a simple one. Use it as the core tool in all of your executive team meetings. Review your progress against goals, but bring it along. Make sure that every key person who's coming to a management meeting has a copy of their plan with them so that you can just check in on the goals and even remind people that there's a plan. When it's in front of them, they're a lot more likely to use it than when it's sitting up on a wall somewhere. Another way to keep the one-page plan alive is just to share relevant portions with team members on a weekly basis. And I'm talking here mainly from the basics column. So things like week 1, discuss the purpose. Talk about why you're actually in business and what that means to you. Speak from the heart. Week 2, discuss the core values or discuss a core value and why it matters for the business, why it matters for you. And maybe call someone out who's been living out those core values well. I have a client and once a month they give out a big box of Smarties to someone who lived out a core value that a leader saw was going above and beyond and really embodying a core value. Just to bring everyone back to the idea that we have core values and they're important. So share those one week. Week 3, discuss the brand promises or discuss a brand promise. Now, if you were to just cycle through these things, just those categories, that would give you 2 to 3 months worth of things to talk about at a management team meeting. And it would just take 2 or 3 minutes at the beginning of a meeting, but it reminds everyone why we're here. A friend of mine once said to me that you know you're talking about this stuff enough if you get mocked about it. If you're not getting mocked about it, you're not repeating it enough. So if you become the core values guy or people think up nicknames for you, you know that you're talking about it enough. If not, you need to up it and talk about these things more. But just keep cycling through at regular meetings so that people are reminded of them. It'll keep the plan alive. Ask the team to score and discuss progress against each of the basics and against long and short-term goals. So here's an exercise I've done many times. When you're in a meeting situation, take your core values and give one core value per group. So divide people into groups and ask them to first score how well they think we are doing overall as a company in keeping that core value out of 10. So we want a number. And then give us some examples of how they're being lived out this past week. Put names to it. Like, is it actually alive? Is it really happening? You can do the same thing with brand promises. How well are we actually living out our brand promises? Let's score them out of 10 and give examples of how they're really being lived out if they are. And you can do that with your purpose and against goals and all that. Just put actual scores to them. It'll start some really great unfiltered conversation about how well you're doing against the plan. Here's a simple and obvious one. Post the one-page plan for everyone to see. Put it up in lunchrooms. Provide a copy for each team member to post at their workstation. I once was involved in a 2-day company retreat, and the CEO and I worked together to make a nice agenda, and they made an amazing time. They had all of the key people of the company staying at a beautiful downtown hotel in Vancouver, and it was a beautiful summer retreat. We went to beautiful restaurants. We walked along the seawall. We did planning sessions. We had speakers. We did all these wonderful things. And at the end of the time, the CEO stood up and just said, I want to talk about where we're going. And he put the one-page plan up and he talked about why the core values mean so much to him personally. He talked about our purpose and he talked about some of those key parts of the plan. At the end of the retreat, I had everyone stand in a huddle. So we had over 40 people in a huddle. And I asked them to say, what was the most meaningful part of this retreat? Dinners, interaction, games, planning sessions, all these things that we did. And hand after hand went up of people saying, just hearing where we're going and have the CEO talk from his heart meant so much to me. And that was my most meaningful time of the whole retreat. People care. They want to know. They want to know, how do I fit into our success? Where are we going? And you can help them with that just by using the one-page plan. Use the plan as a recruiting tool. A players that you're trying to recruit will be very impressed to see your one-page plan. They've never seen a company with vision and direction thought through so carefully before. In fact, they've never seen a company with anything put on paper about where that company is going, probably anywhere that they've interviewed. And when you're trying to get an A player to come to your company, why do you think they come? I'll tell you that A players are not recruited primarily, they are attracted primarily. The reason they want to work for you is because they're attracted to growth and they're attracted to vision. And when you show them that you have a clearly thought out vision, here's where we want to be in 10, 15, here's where we want to be in 5, here's what we're doing this year, here's your role in it. I'm just going to tell you they'll be very impressed and they'll be much more likely to come to you knowing that you've put that kind of thought into your company. Let's review some quick master tips. Have copies of the plan at every workstation. Use the plan in all of your planning activities. Go over one part of the basics, that first column of the plan, every week at your weekly management meeting. And revisit the plan quarterly to monitor progress and update goals. Let's recap. In this module, you learned how the one-page plan is structured to cascade from high-level dreams to on-the-ground execution. And you learned some ideas to make the one-page plan come alive in your organization.